Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Sourcing.Guru. Talk about some of your other challenges, and more importantly, is there anything that keeps you up at night, professionally, of course?
Yeah, yeah. I think on the challenges side, talent is the biggest piece for us at the moment, and it's keeping that retention of key talent in those key markets as well. Kind of coming out the BPO industry where we always had to deal with attrition of some kind, and how do you build the right knowledge management capacity within your business. But seeing it as well now in GBS, there's certain markets that are kind of starting to pick up, turn over a little more. And I think in the beginning of COVID, we actually had quite a relaxed workforce. They weren't looking out. There was maybe a little bit of anxiety in people in the system of should I look to move roles. But now I think everybody's got really good at remote onboarding. We've got a lot of people that have never seen the inside of a GBS office, but that's the same for everybody. So switching companies is now becoming a lot easier, and we're starting to see those attrition levels just start to trickle, excuse me, up a little bit. So that's probably one of my biggest concerns at the moment. One of the challenges to those priorities that we've got.
Yeah, Steve, in fact, some of the surveys I've seen talk about up to 30, 40% of the workforce is considering a change.
Yeah, yeah, it's I was on a call yesterday and somebody called it the Great Resignation, which is quite a powerful statement, but hopefully we won't be operating under that. But yeah, it seems to be a lot of people are starting to look out and what other options and what kind of flexibility do they want going forward. So we've got to keep agile and got to keep moving fast really on this.
So, Steve, on that note of agile and keep moving faster, one of the biggest changes we're starting to see, of course, is the pace of change, right?
Mhm.
And often this change is sudden and really at high speed. So when you think about in your leadership role, how do you enable your organization to adapt and be able to respond to sometimes fast and sometimes sudden change?
Yeah, I think, I used the word a moment ago regarding agility. You've got to be agile. And for me, in the position that I'm in, you think of an organization with nearly 3,000 people and trying to move them all in a direction. You've got to surround yourself with good people, and then you've got to empower them and let them get on with it. And that's not just at the next level down, but, two and three layers down in the organization. That's the only way you can do it, and make sure they feel trusted. It's usually a big word that's bounded around, but make sure that they feel trusted to really get on, make the decisions, and it's okay to make mistakes. Just don't keep making the same mistakes, but it's okay to make those mistakes as long as you're staying agile and you're keeping up with the changes that are going on at the moment.
So trust, empowerment, learning mindset, agile. It
Yeah.
seems those are the areas that are working for you. As we look at GPS, the other thing we're seeing is the application of automation. Talk to us a little bit about kind of benefits, challenges, and kind of just how you think about automation.
Yeah, I think we can all see the benefits of automation. I think the biggest difficulty we all have is how to sell this internally, particularly when you're right at the beginning of the journey, because there's that chicken and egg scenario of do you invest and what's the returns going to be? And there was initially a lot of smoke and mirrors out there in terms of what could be promised and all the heads that could come out. But I think just doing it in small bite-sized chunks and then start to accelerate, people get comfortable with the idea, and then you'll see the investment, kind of like the self-investment, self-funding that goes on. That's how we're seeing it work at the moment.
Got it. Steve, along with that, we're seeing tremendous attention to diversity, equity, inclusion, environmental issues, climate issues, societal areas, as we just talked about. So when you think about ESG or socially responsible sourcing, kind of how do you think about that in the context of applying it both in your operations and kind of like, the benefits and challenges that you see in that area?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see, the parent company, AkzoNobel, they just put out in the last week that they were committing to reducing carbon emissions, I think by 30%, sorry, by 42% by 2030. And what they did is really say we want this up and down the value chain. So not just within the AkzoNobel factories, but also all the suppliers that come to us as well. So that gives us a good platform to then go out, to our partners, to our suppliers, demanding, the same thing. The thing around impact sourcing, I really like. And if I look at my centers, places like Brazil, they actually have a mandate for ensuring you've got a certain percentage, not only of the diversity, but things like disabled workers as well. So it's driving that through the organization. And then I think of kind of like the social responsibility in the community work. When you take a step back, when you've got 3,000 people, that's a lot of people and a lot of hands that can help. So we actually put a mandate out. This was pre-COVID, and we're seeing how we can work it during these COVID times. But we're trying to give 10,000 hours back into the community. And this is really taking teams at a time. And it's actually, the byproduct is a great team building exercise. You go out, and being a paints company, we can go and paint local areas, maybe some of the rundown areas. We've done it in Brazil, we've done it in Turkey, and that's our way of kind of giving back to the community as well. So it really is front and center in everything we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, Steve, it's actually great to hear. It's not just adoption of the practices, but you're actually setting goals and engaging your overall team in participating.
Yeah, everybody's measured on that. All the supervisors are, and they've got a chunk of that 10,000, and that's part of and 10,000 hours, and that's part of their objectives for the year.
Great idea. So, Steve, we were just talking about locations, talent, and then let's talk about partners. What role do suppliers play in your ecosystem?
Yeah, I think you said the two key words there is don't be a supplier. And I think a lot of people tend to fall back into that. And some of the governance meetings I sit on, we talk about pricing, we talk about the contract, when's the contract being renewed. That should almost never be on the table. It's be a trusted partner. That's what I always default to. And what I'd look for from my suppliers is share the learnings, share the best practices. Often they're the experts, and particularly within GBS, kind of the people that we deal with, they deal with a lot of companies like us. So they've got a lot more experience. They can bring good benchmarking, good best practice, and talk about innovation. Make that the first item on the agenda, not all of the pricing and how's the contract going, that type of thing. Tell me something I don't know. That builds the trust, and then let's be a partner together on this journey.
Steve, that's really helpful, because I was going to follow on and ask you kind of what makes a good partner, right? So when you look at your entire partner base, say who actually stands out, and more importantly, you just talked about there's certain things you ought to stop doing.
Absolutely. If a partner can come in and tell me stuff that I don't know and tell me, hey, this is what good looks like and this is how you get there, that very quickly becomes a how do we get there. So that's more of a powerful conversation, when we get the partners in.
So Steve, when you think about the next 12, 24 months, are there areas you plan to invest more in? Are there areas you plan to invest less? Any insights for all of us?
Yeah, we spoke earlier a little bit around the digital roadmap that we'll look at and automation, what we can do there. But I think the second piece is around the whole data and analytics as well. How do we bring that added value to the rest of the organization? Some of the predictive analytics as well. So it'll really be investment in the human side of that as well, and the whole data scientist part, but also on, what's the right platform that we need to be using, what data mining, process mining can we do? So I think we'll see a lot more investment going into that to really simplify our processes on the go forward.
Well, hint, hint for those suppliers who want to be partners. I think you just gave some of it away.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you rely on to make yourself a better GBS leader? What resources, what people,